hold on. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that?
Those are temporary. I honestly don't like it.
Okay, hell yeah, we had to fight, right? Republican threats and Democrats' action to dismantle democracy and tear apart the rights of our people worldwide will only cause chaos amongst the people and
Political oppression, which was formed in the 1970s out of the Free Angela Davis movement. Since our inception, we fought to end racist police terror and organized campaigns to free the wrongfully incarcerated and political prisoners. Today, we are still carrying on that same work, but we organize around the demand of self-determination. And what that looks like is community control of the police, because we realize that unity is central to all of our struggles.
And the decline is accelerating. We saw the cracks in the George Floyd rebellion when one man's murder brought millions into the streets and set cities on fire, because it scratched the depth of national oppression and the potential for mass resistance. After 16 months of atrocities, the Palestinian resistance and its allies have not been defeated. And millions around the world have stood up against the US-backed genocide to the rich while stepping on the rest of us. So there's nobody that Trump's administration is not going to try to pick a fight with, but we're going to bring the fight to him. When his forces, just like the students, refuse to leave the encampments for Palestine, we're going to stand our ground. If they're looking for a fight, we'll give it to them. And even if we don't, history, and only by rallying together we can defend our movements and really make advances. So to those who feel overwhelmed or tempted to stay quiet, silence will not save us, solidarity will. You know, we're not scared right in front of everybody that has a bone to pick with Wall Street. And we're trying to build a new communist party as a weapon of the working class to bring the monopoly capitalists all the way down. So join us, join our marches. We're not going to keep our heads down and hope that the next 4 years blow over. We're going to rise to every...
Global temperatures are rising, despite it being so cold today. Climate crisis still is a thing. We know that we have to rise faster to become the mass movement. So what is it going to take so that in 4 years we're not just organizing to protest the next president? What do we do so that we're organizing in 4 years for a general strike with millions of workers? We're strong enough to shut down the system that's oppressing us. It's going to take all of us getting better and better at connecting the ways we organize masses of people at the ballot box, at the workplace, in our neighborhoods, and in the streets to build working class power through organizations that last. We demonstrate what real democracy looks like, shaped by and for working people. We cannot leave any power on the table, so before you leave here at the end of the day, in a few hours, I invite you to join any of the organizations here. I'm part of Democratic Socialists of America. We're the largest socialist organization in the US. We have members and chapters in all 50 states. We believe, like many of you, that working people should run the economy and society democratically to meet human needs, not just to make profits for a few. So we're one of the many organizations here. Talk to people and join an organization that is going to build a lasting political alternative. Together we're going to be stronger than the people who are trying to shut us down. So we're going to win the other world that's possible, and I'm so glad to be in solidarity with you here today.
It's amazing to be here with y'all today in DC. Let's hear it. So today, the new president of the U.S. empire returns to the White House. Please and loved ones, show us what resistance and freedom looks like. At the same time, we know that the ceasefire agreement is a bare minimum, and we will not give up on our people in Palestine until liberation is secured. For 16 months, we remain steadfast in our commitment, and this change in administration does not intimidate our movement for liberation. Instead, it emboldens us as we continue to center a liberated Palestine
freedom. We reiterate that Palestine is the nexus for all people's struggles here on Turtle Island as well as in the Arab region. We say no to U.S. imperialist wars of aggression in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. We recognize Israel as an extension of the U.S. empire, seeking to destabilize the region, deny sovereignty to our people, loot natural resources, and exploit labor. So shame. As a feminist collective in North America, we in the Palestinian Feminist Collective remind the ruling class on Turtle Island that Palestine is a critical touchstone to all of our movements of liberation. Palestine will always be a feminist issue because gendered and sexual violence is central to settler colonialism, apartheid, and genocide. So a people's movement includes all of our struggles. It will confront any political administration leading the global empire. A people's movement cannot, and from the Democratic Party, was because of our people in the streets. The people's power for Palestine served to oust Biden, disgrace the Democratic Party, and wholly exposed and threatened U.S. imperial domination in the global world order. So remember, when a new puppet enters the White House, the game is the same. But now we are the wiser, all the stronger, because we stand together. Today is a new chapter in our struggle as we unite against a shared enemy. We will persist until liberation is actualized. Free Palestine.
Donald Trump decided to move the inaugural ceremony inside because he said it was too cold. That's not why. It's not real. It is cold, but it's not too cold. The real reason is Donald Trump is telling the world and telling the country that he has a mandate. And the fact of the matter is, there weren't going to be that many people on the inaugural parade route, and it gives a lie to the idea that Trump has a mandate. In fact, 26% of the population, the adult population in the U.S., voted for Donald Trump. About the same number who voted for him in 2020. The Democrats lost 8 million votes, and as the sister from the Palestine Feminist Collective pointed out, people didn't vote for Biden not because they love Trump. That's not true. They didn't vote for Biden because they hated the genocide. They didn't vote for Biden because under Biden, 25 million working class people lost access to health care because they ended the Medicare expansion program that came from 2020. People didn't vote for Biden because Biden allowed the moratorium on evictions to elapse, and there was a wave of evictions because housing is unaffordable here in the center of global capitalism. That's why they didn't vote for the incumbent. It's not because Donald Trump has a mandate. What Donald Trump intends to do right now, today, tonight, tomorrow, and in the coming weeks is to deport hundreds of thousands of working class immigrant families and their children. They do not have a mandate for this. We, the people of the United States who are not undocumented, are here to say we have much more in common with the undocumented community than the billionaire scum in the White House. We have much more in common with the people of Palestine. So the way an enemy conducts a war is designed with one purpose in mind. It's not simply to occupy territory. It's in order to break the will of your enemy. And you can see, and I can see, and the world can see, that after 15 months of genocide, the Palestinian people today are out in the streets celebrating and commemorating the fact that this struggle has released the Palestinian hostages who are never called hostages. There are 15,000 Palestinian prisoners. Each and every one of them is a hostage. Every one of them is a hostage. The American media never calls the Palestinian prisoners hostages. They call them prisoners. Only the Israelis are called hostages. But there's only one way a Palestinian person who's been taken hostage by Israel becomes free, and that is when the Palestinian resistance forces carry out military operations. That's the only way that the Palestinian hostages become free. The Palestinian people have shown the world something that's almost unheard of. That they can fight and fight and fight, and in spite of the death, the destruction, the immense suffering, that they will not be defeated. They should be our inspiration when we fight against the new capitalist regime here in the White House. Free Palestine, everyone. Let's keep marching.
But I see the same Zionists in the White House today that I saw yesterday, and the day before yesterday, and the day before that. In fact, every occupant of that building, every president of the United States has been a Zionist, a murderer, an imperialist, and they must be destroyed. We are not confused. They said there's now a billionaire in the White House. The White House is the billionaire's house. That's what they built it for, the billionaires. That's what they exist for. And we cannot be confused by the changing of the guard. Because all of the guards, the new one and the old one, are all a part of the same political, military institution. It's the same, as nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is our determination to defeat capitalism, to defeat imperialism, to defeat Zionism, and to build a world for the masses of the people who are suffering and exploited and oppressed everywhere. We want to be clear. Homelessness is imperialism. Gentrification is imperialism. Police brutality is imperialism. Zionism is imperialism. Sanctions against Nicaragua, sanctions against Cuba, sanctions against Venezuela, sanctions against Zimbabwe is imperialism. And imperialism must be destroyed. We're not here, and I've said it before, to beg them pigs in the White House for anything. We want to be free. We don't want better housing, we want to be free. We don't want them to give us health care, we want to be free. Housing and health care are human rights. We don't have to beg anybody for our rights. We're going to take our rights. So now, we're faced with a dilemma. Because the masses of our people are not organized. The masses of our people do not understand what is happening. Because we spend all our time and energy talking to each other. But we got to stop talking to each other. We got to start talking to our families, talking to our communities, talking to our jobs, talking to our schools, talking to our hospitals, talking to the masses of our people, and make them understand what is actually going on. This is not, now I heard somebody say our government, and I want you to know, that ain't my government. That's their government. My government is not a settler colonial government. And this here is a settler colony. This is stolen land. This is blood-soaked land. You don't see no Native Americans out here because they trapped on reservations just like the masses of Palestinians are trapped on that concentration camp they call Gaza. We've come to a lot of these demonstrations, and quite frankly, we're getting tired. We're tired of the talk. We're tired of the confusion. We're tired. We got black people running around here saying the problem is that the Palestinians are anti-black. Not true. What is true? It is not true. This is madness. The Palestinians and the Africans are the same. We're one. Their struggle is our struggle. Their fight is our fight. Their contradictions are our contradictions. They suffer from settler colonialism just like we suffer from settler colonialism. And we are determined not to end Trump's presidency, not to end the Republican Party domination of the U.S., not to end the Democratic Party's domination of the U.S. We are determined to end capitalism and imperialism and Zionism and racism and patriarchy and reactionary activity.
Once of all our fight to free our political prisoners, because Mumia is next.
Protections. They seek to target immigrant families, causing division and terrorizing our communities. And they seek the handover of our public resources and hard-earned tax dollars to corporate greed, the cutting of environmental protections, and the cutting or privatizing of public sector jobs.